Hi everyone. I was on my way out the door, but thank you for stopping by. I am Nana P, and this is Aging with Power. But today, I'm going to talk to you about depression, and particularly depression in older people. It's not a subject that most people want to hear, but it needs to be talked about. Full disclosure, I have to say, I am not a doctor, I am not a therapist, I am not even a counselor. We are not going to talk about depression from a technical perspective. I am a recipient of depression. So I'm going to tell you what I know about it, okay? All right. In a nutshell, depression is not just about feeling sad. It's a serious medical condition that affects how a person thinks, how they feel, how they move, how they function on a day-to-day basis. Your Uncle Bubba may tell you, oh, you just need to smile more. Your friend, your best friend may say, well, you know what, you need to shop more. Just go shopping, buy some things that make you feel good. Cousin Leroy will probably tell you, oh, just get a job. In fact, get 2 jobs, 3 jobs, so you don't have time to think about that mess. But that's really not the solution. This is what I learned about depression as a recipient. Depression is often caused by a chemical imbalance in the brain. Yeah. And if it's a chemical imbalance in the brain, it's not something that you can run from. It's not something that you can fix yourself. It's not something that you can shop away. It doesn't work like that. You simply cannot fix that by yourself. You need to get help, and preferably from a professional source. Let me tell you my story. As a social worker and now retired social worker, I worked for senior citizens, elderly people, and homebound people. I saw so much frailment and so much weakness and loneliness and hopelessness that it just got to me. As much as I loved that demographic of people, I could not take the pressures of seeing people decline day after day after day. People giving up on themselves and on their lives. People whose families just abandoned them. One day, I went to see a client of mine, and the adult child was there who is the caregiver, and he was explaining to me, I need this for my mom, I need that for my dad, this is happening, that's happening, this, and this. And I sat and I listened and I took notes and I took it all in, and I made promises that I'm going to work to get this. I'm going to make sure that your mom gets this help, that help. I'm going to make sure that you get the meals that your father needs, on and on. Not realizing what it was doing to me inside. When I left the client's house, I got in my car and I began to have blackouts. The next thing I know, I was pulling out of the driveway. Then suddenly I'm sitting at a stop sign and there's children crossing. I'm in front of a school. The next thing I know, I'm at the end of that particular street. I didn't know what was happening at the time, but I thought, okay, well, let me just head on home. I'll turn right and I'll go down this main street and everything's going to be okay. I made the right turn and I got on that street, which was a street that registered 35 miles per hour. The next thing I know, that I was blowing through stop signs and red lights, doing 90 miles an hour, 90. I was flowing it, and I was out of control, yet I could not stop myself. And I distinctly remember saying, where is a police officer when you really need one? Someone that can stop me because I can't stop myself. I was out of control. I had lost it. All of a sudden, I saw an intersection coming up and I said, if I run into that intersection, I'm going to have a head-on collision. I have got to stop. My spiritual strength kicked in, that which sustains me, and helped me to get a grip, and said to myself, what are you doing? What are you doing? Get a grip. I suddenly slowed down. I immediately pulled over into a grassy area. I stopped the car, put it in park, and I burst out in tears. I was crying so hard, I literally could not see in front of me. Now, at this point, I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what. I knew I wasn't having a medical issue per se because I didn't feel any pain. I didn't have any cuts. I didn't have any bruises. I had no swelling. I had no aches. So I didn't know what was happening. But I knew something was wrong, and I did not want to go home and sit there with whatever was going on. I knew that I needed help, and I made a decision to help myself. I remembered that in the community where the client lived, there was a hospital, small hospital, tucked away off of a street way in the back. It didn't have a lot of lights. It didn't have big signs. It didn't have glitz and glimmer. It was just tucked away. And I knew that hospital was there. And I knew that was a psychiatric hospital. I decided right then and there, I'm going straight to that hospital. I didn't care about stigma. I didn't care what people thought. I didn't care who thought what. I knew that I needed some help. And it was a good 15 miles distance between where I was and where the hospital was located. I'm driving. Tears are flowing. People in the cars next to me are looking. I'm sure people were wondering what in the world is going on with her. But I was driving. I was determined. I needed help. And I was going to that hospital. I got to the hospital. I parked my car. I walked in the front door. The very nice person at the reception desk said, "How may I help you?" And my words to her were, "I think I'm having a mental breakdown." Yeah, that's exactly what I said. And she said, "Come on in and let's see if we can get some help for you." That was the start of my beginning. That was the start of when my life turned around. But you see, it took me saying, I think so much of myself, but I don't know what's going on. I can't fix what's going on. I can't even see what's going on. But I knew I needed help. I didn't wait for someone else to hold my hand or force me. I cared about myself. So I made a decision that I'm going to get me some help. Now, I said all that for a reason. If you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, sad, down in the dumps, have a lot of anxiety, frustration, anger, or just feel simply out of control, get you some help, okay? Get some help. There's nothing to be embarrassed about. It's your life. You know the motto. You start where you are, and then you do you. Don't worry about what somebody else thinks. You do you. You get some help. Okay? All right. Now, let me tell you this. The reason that it's important, so important to get help and professional help. I don't mean talking to Uncle Bubba. I don't mean talking to your friend, Sally Sue, who wants you to go shopping. I'm not talking about talking to cousin Leroy, who tell you to get 15 jobs and that's going to fix everything. I'm talking about getting some professional help. The reason why is because you need someone that can help you distinguish between, am I feeling anxiety or am I full-fledged in depression? There is a difference. Now, let me tell you about anxiety. Anxiety, which is also a medical condition and needs to be treated, is often caused by outside forces, be it your children, your marriage, your job, your religious establishment, maybe you're overweight, maybe you are not physically fit, maybe you are whatever. Those things can cause you anxiety. So you need help by a professional person, like a therapist perhaps, that can help you to identify what exactly is causing that anxiety for you, and then help you to set goals to work through it and then overcome it. If you are in full-fledged depression, you need to get the chemicals in that brain in check. You cannot function if your brain is all out of whack. I'm here to tell you from personal experience. I was nutting up on a regular basis. I needed to get some help but didn't realize it. I had to first get medication, which took a psychiatrist to prescribe medication for me to help me get the chemical imbalance in check. Once we got the chemical imbalance in check, then I needed the therapist, who was a psychologist, to help me to navigate through the outside forces. I'm here to tell you, you need to seek professional help. Be it a therapist, it can be a psychiatrist, psychologist, a therapist, a social worker, a counselor. It can be a minister. It can be whoever you feel comfortable with that you think can help you with what you're dealing with. And the help that you get is one that will help you to identify also the triggers that bring about the anxiety or the stress or the frustration or the overwhelm or whatever it is you're feeling. Those are triggers out there, but somebody needs to help you figure out what those triggers are to help you develop a plan so that you can deal with the triggers every time they happen. You can't do it by yourself. I'm here to tell you, you cannot do it by yourself. Okay? Get some help. Okay? Now, I'm going to throw a commercial in here just to lighten the mood a little bit. My daughter has a theory that she talks about on a regular basis. She says, in her words, everybody needs to lay on the couch every now and then. And if you don't know what that means everybody can benefit from having some therapy, some talk therapy. And if more people had more therapy and talked it out and get out what they're feeling and what's bottled up inside, I think we will probably have a whole lot less angry people. And I think the world would be a much better place because people would not be so tense, so angry, so over the top that they're ready to snap at any minute. Look, I'm here to tell you, there is no shame. Who cares what anyone else thinks? It's not their business. It's your life. You do something about it. You get up today and you do something about it. If you want to send me a comment, tell me how you're doing. How are you coping with what life is throwing at you? Tell me how you're coping with it. If you don't want to leave a public comment, drop me a line by email, agingwithpower.us@gmail.com. If you think you need some help but you don't know which way to go, which way to look, who to reach out to me. I'll direct you as best I can. I'm still a social worker, you know. But not only am I a social worker, I am a recipient of depression. I came through it. Every now and then it may try to rear its head, but you know what? I know how to deal with it. I know how to fix it. I know how to fight it head on. Get you some help. I'm Nana P. This is Aging with Power, and I want to hear from you, and I'll see you next time, okay? All right.